So 2018, 2019, God kind of had been poking at us, Joe and I, about our marriage. There was things that needed to be cleaned up. There's things that needed to be addressed. And by end of 2019, he just kind of shoved us into it. We had a Saturday, we were together, we were hanging out with our granddaughter all day. It was a good day. Went on our way home, we're looking at Christmas lights. It was, just this fun ride, taking her home. And on the way home, I was like, I can't do this anymore. The Spirit was just like kind of shoving us because he had been poking for a while. We both were noticing things. And I think we were just kind of like brushing them off and ignoring them. And God's like, no, enough. It's time to address this stuff. So we started going to counseling. And, we had some big things that we needed to address. Maybe some bondage that needed to be taken care of, some old hurts that needed to be taken care of. I am a yeller and a controller. When things get what I perceive as being out of control, he shuts down, and that was one thing that we addressed. And understanding why he shuts down and why I yell and why I control made a difference in how we communicated with each other. Having compassion for each other in those moments when we still, even now we both have moments where we still kind of go there, but it's different. Joe can call me out now, I can call him out, but it's done in love, it's done in an encouraging way. Joe had an issue with drinking and some behaviors that I felt were dishonoring to me and our marriage. So, we had to address those things and work through those things and learn how to communicate and listen to each other. And then Pastor Bill and Shirley Sagarise came just to hang out at True Life. They weren't there to speak. They're from Alive Again. They feel called to plant a church in Long Branch. When they came to visit, Pastor Chris just said, hey, Bill and Shirley Sagarise are here. Make sure you're nice to them, say hello. And I felt like I heard God say, you're going to be a part of that. So then after that, it was just like little moments here or there. What if conversations Joe and I would have? What if God called us to Long Branch? Or what if God said, you're to leave True Life? That's when we started praying, all right, God, is this how we're to be a part of this? And just come alongside them and pray, or is there more from us? It was actually a growth time in our walk together as a couple because we were reading together more, we were praying together more. Then we started inviting people in to pray for direction and to be sure that we're not just getting excited on something new and make sure that this is really what God wanted us to do. Once we made that decision and we knew that this is what God wanted us to do, to go be a part of this plant team, to plant this church in Long Branch, it was a time of realizing how much we had to trust God and how much we had to let go of. We're leaving behind some family. We're leaving behind comfortableness. And we're stepping into a new family, not a new family, additional family. We're moving from a place that we've lived in for the last 12 years. Not only moving, but we're moving in an area that we're not familiar with. We're moving in an area that costs a whole lot more. So I'm leaving my job as kids ministry director and going into a new job as dental assisting. It's not totally new for me. I did it many years ago, but it's been a long time, so it's kind of going to be totally new. And it's a different atmosphere. God's been a great provider through all this. Like miraculously. Every need, want, desire, fear, every hurdle we've had to go over, he's been right there helping us over those hurdles and taking care of one thing after another. Down for something as little as a place for our dog to be accepted, because it's hard to find rentals that will take a dog, to financial provision. So we had decided to take the money we had been saving and just bang out all this, take care of all this debt. But then a couple of weeks of making that decision, someone came up to me after church, slipped a card in my pocket. I pulled the card out on our way home from church, and I opened the card and I'm reading it, and I'm just like, Joe, pull over, just pull over. And he's like, what's the matter? He's like, you pull over. So he pulls over, I hand it to him, And like he was like just welling up in tears. We couldn't believe it was like a check that was for $5,000. So God's good, and he took care of, he's providing. He's taking care of another thing that we had to come up against in this journey, stepping into where he's called us. So we start taking care of the debt. It even gave us a little bit of cushion for when Joe has his eye surgery done next week, and he's going to be out of work. And then this week, the mail comes. I look at the mail. It's junk mail, it's flyers. So when Joe gets home, he opens up the mail and he starts telling me it's from Wells Fargo. Now, I had a car loan. My car loan was through Wells Fargo, but we paid it off a year, maybe a year and a half ago. So we haven't had anything to do with Wells Fargo since then. And he's like, it's from Wells Fargo. And then I'm still thinking it's like just junk mail. And he's like reading this letter, and he's saying they're giving us a refund. I'm like, yeah, right, you're right. He's like, I'm telling you, they're giving us a refund. He continues reading. It was from misapplied payments that happened, and we accrued fees and stuff from those misapplied payments. So I'm walking over to him and I'm laughing. I'm like, yeah, you're so full of it. And he showed me the check, and it was another check for over $5,000. And I was like, there's our deposit, easy deposit. I don't believe the healing in our marriage was just for Joe and I. I do believe it was for Joe and I. It was for our family. But I think it's also because he's calling us in a place where we have to be unified and we have to be healthy relationally. We can't serve, especially in difficult situations. It's not gonna necessarily be easy. It's not an easy environment if we're not healed, we're not whole as a couple. There was, within the last few months, Joe and I going through the parable of the talents. And as we're reading it and we're discussing it, and we even dug into commentary on it, as we're talking, I'm writing down 2 words in my notebook, and we're talking, and then talking about what it means, like what our talents are, what our resources are that God gives us, and what are we doing with our talents, the resources God gives us. And we ended it with Joe. I said to Joe, Joe, as we're going through this, what are 2 words that come to mind? Like, what comes to mind to you and what we're doing with our resources individually and as a couple? And he said, lazy and complacent. And those were the same 2 words that I wrote down in my notebook. And yeah, we've just kind of been sticking to that. Like, we're not going to be lazy. We're not going to be complacent. We're going to step out and be uncomfortable and just keep moving forward.